Hey, good morning, class. This week we're starting the floor plan drawings for our project. And before we jump into that, I want to go over a few little things with you and explain some of the reasons for why we do some of the things that we do in drawing floor plans. First of all, you have got to understand, realize, and remember that actual size and nominal size are not the same thing. A lot of things in building construction, a lot of things are actual size, but a lot of things are what we would call nominal size. Framing lumber, bricks, masonry, are all nominal sized items. And by framing lumber and finished lumber, like one buys one by something and two by something, even four buys and six buys. Anything that's made of natural wood, that's a structural or even not molded trim, but like one by fours and one by sixes and things like that. They all have a nominal size and an actual size. Look at the chart in the textbook, and you just have to memorize these. And it's very simple. Anything that is a one by is 3/4 of an inch thick. Anything that is a two by is 1.5 inches thick. If we had a 4x4, okay, it would be 3.5 inches thick. A 6x6 would be 5.5 inches thick. After we go above 6 inches, then instead of dropping a half inch, you drop 3/4 of an inch. So like for the width of these pieces, a 2x4 is 1.5 by 3.5. A 2x6 is 1.5 by 5.5. A 2x8 is 1.5 by 7.25. 2x10 is 9.25. A 2x12 is 11.25. Okay, so you've just got to know this and remember this. Because when we're drawing with CAD, we're going to draw it the actual size that it is. Okay, and you've just got to memorize that. And when you looked at, well, in a couple of weeks, when you look at the chapter on foundations and foundation walls, and if you remember back to your print reading class, concrete masonry units, CMUs, the nominal size is 8 inches by 8 inches by 16 inches. But the actual block itself is 3/8 of an inch smaller than that. And that allows for the mortar joint that holds the blocks together. The same way with bricks. And bricks come in all kinds of different sizes, so I won't even begin to try to explain sizing on bricks. Now, you just got to know this and remember it. Now, when we draw, way back in the day, okay, when we did drawings by hand with pencil and paper, we would draw an interior wall at 4 inches thick, and an exterior wall we would draw at 6 inches thick. Because you're dealing with a pencil on a piece of paper, drawing it at 1/4 inch to 1 foot scale. Okay, so the difference in the actual measurements was negligible when we were drawing it that way on paper. Okay, and as a result of that, when we dimensioned the drawings, when we dimensioned interior walls, we dimensioned to the center line of the wall. A couple of reasons for this is, number one, it was easier and it was more accurate, because then when the carpenters are building the building, they would just mark where the center of the wall goes, offset that by the thickness of whatever stud they're using, and then they would know where to place the wall. Okay, but now that we do things with CAD, we're going to draw things actual size instead of nominal size, and we're drawing it full size. So this is like the plan view of a typical interior wall. with a 2x4 stud, a 1/2 inch gyp board on either side. Okay, so the stud is 3.5 inches, and then a 1/2 inch gyp board on each side makes that wall thickness 4.5 inches thick. Okay, and so that's in AutoCAD, it's very easy to draw. However, we typically do not draw the finished surface of the gyp board, especially when we're dealing with AutoCAD, unless it's a large scale detail and we need to show the gyp board, because it's just a lot of extra work. So what we will do, and in previous classes, I would, because the textbook still supported this, we would draw the wall, the interior walls, 4.5 inches thick, and we would dimension to the center line of the wall. And so up until just I don't know, a few years ago, that was still this accepted practice out in the workplace. But with people moving to Revit and other 3D softwares, that changed because dimensioning to the center of the wall became a little bit more difficult. But with Revit, you can draw the wall family, and it includes the stud and the finishes on both sides. And you can dimension to the surface of the stud very easily. Okay. In AutoCAD, it's not so easy. So in this class, what we're going to do, in keeping with the way the textbook is written now, we'll be dimensioning, as far as interior walls go, we'll be dimensioning to the face of the stud, okay? And then we will draw the wall at 3.5 inches thick. Because if think about it, if you draw the interior walls at full size at 4.5 inches, and you dimension to the face of the wall, then the carpenters out in the field, when they're building the building, they have to add or subtract a 1/2 inch from every measurement in order to get that wall in the right location. And you don't want them to be doing that. Okay? It's too easy to forget and too easy to mess up. So what we're going to do in this class, and this is a little bit different from what the textbook is stating, is we're going to draw the walls just as the framing lumber and the sheathing, not including the finishes. So our wall thicknesses will be different. All right, having said all of that, I've changed my color on my screen to be a white background to make it easier to see for you to watch these videos. This is the first step. We're going to draw the walls and get them located correctly. Okay, and so it's very important that you get them in the right place to start with. And a couple of, I think there were only 2 issues with the textbook. One being the textbook showed a window right here in the closets, and that's a misprint in the textbook. And in the textbook left out this dimension for this wall right here. Everything else is pretty, pretty good as far as the textbook goes. Okay, so how do we do this? So the easiest way, and I'm going to be working over here away from that. I've given you a file called Arch Blank New. It's not a template, but it's the template you're going to use in this class for these drawings. It has, the layers, and there are lots of layers, okay? So everything going on the floor plan goes in an A floor layer, okay? Walls, symbols, stairs, specialties, revisions, plumbing fixtures, patterns, things like that. If you have a question on one of these, if you were to open up the layer properties, it would show you a brief description of that particular layer. Okay, and typically dimensions and annotations go in with the floor type stuff. So floor dimensions would go here. Okay. So I want to go to the oh, and there is a construction layer here at the very top called zero construction. Okay. So you can use that to draw any construction lines on that you might need. So to the A floor wall layer, and I'm going to start a polyline. And I'm going to start it. I got to get my textbook around so I can see it clearly here in front of my computer. I'm going to start my polyline at the X being 0, Y being 8 feet. And that gets me away, a little bit away from the origin, but it gives me a starting point, close to the origin. I'm going to turn on my ortho mode, and I want to go up 26 feet. And if you notice, we're using architectural units in this, so you have to put in the feet and the inches measurements, okay? So I'm going to go up 26 feet. I'm going to go to the right, the length of the house, 62 feet. I'm going to come down the 26 feet, come over the 18 feet 1, down the 8 feet, over 26 feet 10, up the 8 feet, and then close. All right, so that gives me a polyline of the exterior side wall of the house. Now, the way things go, it doesn't matter if you're doing it by paper, by AutoCAD, or by Revit. Exterior walls get dimension from the face of the sheathing, the exterior sheathing. In our case, and I'll reaffirm this in Blackboard, we're going to go with a 1/2 inch sheathing because that's very common here in the Southeast. Okay, and we're going to go with 2x4 studs. So that means my exterior wall, as we draw it, will have a 4-inch thickness. And the way to do that is to go offset. And I want to tell it 4 inches. Select, whoa, that's 4 feet. Okay. All right, so that's got my exterior walls drawn. I'm going to save my file. And I recommend that you save your file frequently, often, because you never know when AutoCAD's going to crash on you with these things. Okay, now how to locate the interior walls. And if we look at it, if you look at the textbook, you've got your stairway, and the wall above to the north of the stairway is in line with the wall over on the right end by the master bedroom and that bathroom, and it's also lined up with the wall for the pantry closet. The south wall of the fireplace lines up with the wall coming down the hallway by the bathroom and one of the bedrooms. So those two walls kind of go not the full length of the house, but almost the full length of the house. So the way to kind of deal with some of these things easily is we'll use some construction lines and do offsets and then do some trims and things like that. So it can get kind of confusing. So let's go up to our zero construction layer. And I'm going to draw a construction line. I'll use my Excel command, and then I'm going to go V for vertical. And I'm going to put one at the outside corner of the house. And I can put one at the other outside corner also. Okay, these will get me started. And then what I'll do is I can copy or offset these things as I need them. Okay, and stopping here, if you do not have yet, I recommend that you get a feet-inch calculator. If you're going to work in architecture or construction, you will use a feet-inch calculator. And I've got one that I have had, gosh, for 30 or 40 years. It's an actual calculator called the Construction Master 4. And they have an app that you can put on your phone, and it will do the same thing that the regular calculator does if you would rather have your phone to do it. But this here, you can add feet, inches very easily. You can, once you learn how to use it, you can calculate rafter and stair, rise and run. You can calculate areas, volumes, all kinds of stuff like that. You don't have to get this one, but I recommend that you get something where you can add and subtract feet and inches, because it will sure make your life a lot easier. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to copy these lines, these construction lines across, and I'm not going to work through all of them because it will get very confusing, and I don't want to drag out this video for for way too long. But I'm going to start, and I do want to show you these right here. So I'm going to copy this one here, and I'm going to copy it over to right here, to the inside of that wall, and to the inside of that wall. Okay, now we're going to draw our interior walls at 3.5 inches thick. Okay, and the reason for that is we're not going to draw any drywall. We're just going to draw the framing lumber. And if a company is not using a 3D design software, such as Revit or some of the others, that's a very common way of doing it now. They will draw the studs only, no finishes, and dimension to the face of the stud. Now, with this wall that is like right here between I guess the family room, is that what it's called? Yeah, the living room. Okay, between the living room and this bathroom. Well, the surface of the drywall will be straight across here. So that means these studs need to line up with these studs, but this wall right here is 4.5 inches thick. Okay, well, we've drawn it as 4 inches thick, sorry, and we're drawing this at 3.5 inches thick. So there is a bit of a difference. All right, so I know where that's going to go. So I don't want to do it on the construction layer. I know I've got to have those lined up for there. Now let's copy for the bathroom down here. And so I see that it is 11 feet 8 inches across there. So let's copy. And I've got ortho mode turned on, so I just drag it until I get an object snap of some kind in the right direction I want to go. And then I tell it my distance, 11 feet 8 inches. Okay. And so that gets the face of my bathroom wall. Excuse me. And I know that that wall is going to be 3.5 inches thick. So I can offset that wall over this way. And while I'm in this command, I can go ahead and offset this one this way. Okay. Now let's put in a horizontal line. Excuse me. X line, horizontal. And I'm going to put one in right here to start with. And we're going to copy it. Up, and that is 9 feet 10 inches. And that is the wall that runs behind the fireplace against the stairs. Okay, and so now I'll offset that by 3.5. Okay, now then I've got basically the bathroom and that one bedroom in place. So what I want to do is I want to take these lines right here, and I'm just going to move them to the A floor wall layer. Okay, and now I'm going to trim them. TR for the trim command. And let's there and wipe them out there. Down here, I need to trim it there. Okay, so that picked it up there. Okay. That delete. I'm gonna wait about over there. So now I've got this bedroom and I've got this bathroom, and where the walls meet, I don't think I can trim right there yet. Let's see, can I? Yeah, okay. Where the walls meet into an intersection, and it shows an image of this in the textbook. And if you see there with that bathroom wall, it does not continue up, so I can take both of those out. Here, we kind of have a continuance, but this wall works over on the other side of there, so I'm going to leave that in for right now. That I can delete this inside one here. I can delete it. That I can delete. Okay, so let's get these two rooms here. The walls that come right here. So let's copy our construction line over. That one is 12 feet 10 inches. And you've got to watch the dimensions in the textbook here and see which direction to offset your line for your wall is. 3.5 inches, so we'll offset that over to here. Okay. And I'll go ahead and move that to my floor plan layer. And now we'll do some trimming. And see, this one comes down and it doesn't go all the way through the house. So I'm going to go ahead and trim that out so I can delete these. Okay. And so now I can start putting in some horizontal lines for this. Just copy that one. up to here. Copy that one down. What is it? Go 10-foot 2. Add in for the closet. That would be 12, 13 feet. And the next one should be the line there. Okay, so now then we'll do an offset. But this first closet wall, I need to offset it up. So we're at 3.5 inches. Next one looks like I need to offset it down. Okay. These are my two closets coming across. There'll be a doorway right here, and then this wall terminates against here. The closet stops back here. So now we'll copy over the closet wall, and you'll see it comes from the inside there, 8 foot 2 inches. So I need to copy this to the inside, and then I'll copy again. Feet 2, and then an offset of 3.5 to the outside or to the right. And this is my closet wall right here. And all right, so now some trim. Okay. Okay, and that one I'll delete. That I can delete. Next would be I'd start building these walls through here. And you don't have to trim your corners until you get all of your walls in. That's fine. But it shows shows an image there in the book, a page before the floor plan of how you should be trimming your wall joints. And I wouldn't recommend doing a lot of trimming until you've got your walls kind of in place. Okay, so I'm gonna stop videoing here on showing you how to draw the floor plan, all the walls. But you'll get them in. I'll come back with the next video and we'll talk about dimensioning these walls, okay?